So welcome to another free YouTube video. I wanted to discuss grass. Now, grass has been a long hated um, subject to draw just because it can be so difficult to find all those little spaces without making it look like scribbles. So I wanted to put this together for all of the beginners out there that are, playing with grass in their photos and they're getting frustrated. So this is what that is for. Before we get into it, make sure you subscribe. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit the notification bell. Also, leave me a comment if it helped you understand grass a little bit better. I would love to hear your feedback. So I am using a brown pastel mat, and I just made like a little, it's like a 4" by 4" square. And I have my green polychromoses picked out and some browns. So you will find that list in the description. You will have a supply list that you can look at all the colors and get prepared for this as well. So my last picture that I did had a ton of grass. If you have been following me, the Jeep had so many hills, so many grassy areas. So we're going to touch on a couple different techniques, and also we're going to do some short grass and then we'll do some longer grass. So let's start out with our earth green yellowish. And we're going to start with some short grass. Let's do it up here in the corner. So I always base mine out. Like I'll kind of go back and forth, kind of just giving a nice base. And in this part, I really don't focus a whole lot on the direction, other than I just try to keep it nice and smooth. So now let's add a little bit of our raw umber. So I'm going to come in here and we're going to just very lightly. Now this one I am going to kind of feather like this color in. So what that means is whenever I'm going and using my pencil, I'm kind of swooping it back and forth, like, but I'm swooping it down and up as I'm doing my strokes. So it's sort of touching in the middle and it's sort of getting some on the top, and you can even come in and get some darker spots too. So now I'm going to come in with my olive green yellowish, and I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to be a little bit more sporadic. I'm going to kind of skip around just a little bit, just kind of flick too. Still doing a little bit of some feathering, maybe adding a little bit more pigment and pressure in certain areas. So now we have these 3 layers. Now we need to start adding some of our deeper values. So I'm going to come in and just kind of go around. You already should have almost like a natural look of grass starting. So just go to those darker spots that you see and just sort of fill them in just a little bit, just creating some of those nice values. Okay. Now take your light green. We're going to add some of these brighter blades, just working in between here, and even adding some in the back. Go over top of some of these dark areas too. It will help give it some layering look and some depth. So I'm flicking too, just like fur. We're going to start at the base and kind of flick upward. Now that you have that, go back in with your walnut brown. And I'm going to be a little more precise about this. So I'm going to find all these little nooks and crannies in here that I feel could be darkened to make it look more like grass. Just give it more depth. Okay. Now to give a little bit further depth, we're going to add a little bit of black, just a touch. And I usually try to keep the heavier parts of black down below, and then add just a couple bits of black above. So once you have all of that together, I go back in with my earth green yellowish. Now this might look differently for you when you are using different colored pencils. And I'm going to start just flicking some, toning down those darker areas, kind of going over top of them. We're creating a layered look is what we're doing. Once you get that, go back in with your light green again, and let's make some more highlights. And at this point, I like to cross over these dark areas just so that it looks a little bit more layered. This is pretty much what you do for your long strands of grass as well. So now we have some beautiful grass. So let's do our longer strands. Let's do like a tuft of long grass. So I'm going to go back and forth. I'm going to change the directions to make this tuft, always going back to the center. And then let's put some shorter grass beside it. Okay, now again, if you remember, now we have our raw umber. Let's create some of these more natural grassy feels. Now with the longer grass, I'm doing a little bit of feathering, but it's not like it was on the shorter grass. It's because we have longer strokes here. Okay, now we go back in with our walnut brown. And you already have some of that natural look here that's sort of looking like grass anyway. So let's go in and kind of add some deeper values. Head in with your light green. And this you'll be a little bit more strategic about it because you don't want to just put scribbles, you know, you want them to kind of look like grass. That is the point, right? Can even curve some around, give it a nice roundness to it. Okay, back in with some walnut brown. I'm just going to add a little more pressure, a little bit more of some dark spots in here. Now you may have a little bit more of depth inside of the longer grass, so you would add a few more darker spots. Get your black. And I'm going to add quite a bit more than we did to the short one. So you get that, earth green yellowish. Just going to try to tone down some of that black. And then go back in with our light green, crossing over top of those dark areas. And then you might want to come back through and just kind of darken up the base a little bit more. Maybe even use some more walnut brown. And there you have it. That is how I make my grass. Now, when we go through, and this is when we go through with our black in here, that is a term that we call negative drawing. So you're coming in between all of these. Instead of drawing out the blades, you come in between them and you draw what is beside the blades of grass, which is the space. So that negative drawing is really, really going to help you with grass. There you go. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this. I find that grass is pretty simple. when you learn how to do like the negatives with, you know, the blades too, it's a lot more helpful than just, you know, drawing back and forth lines on your paper. So lots of layering, lots of colors, and take your time, play with it a little bit. This will also work on other papers. You don't have to have pastel mat, but pastel mat is very helpful. Now, if you're using something that's smoother, I'd probably start out with my lights first, work my way through to the darkers, just because with pastel mat you can do light on dark, and it's just easier for my brain to comprehend. That is just how I process things. But if you do use a smoother one, go in with your lighters first, and then you're going to have to use a lot of the negative drawing that I showed in both of these pictures. So you'll have to do the negative drawing until, you know, it looks more like grass, and then you can even layer on top of it to tone down some of those blades. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm excited to see what you create, so definitely leave a comment if this has helped you. If you are able to create grass better, you can share it with me online on Facebook if you are part of my Facebook group, or if you're part of my Patreon. I also have more in-depth talking and tutorials on different things like animals and sceneries, and the one recently, the boat and the Jeep. Those both, or this one definitely had a lot of grass, the Jeep did, and then the boat had some longer reeds and grasses in it, so that is actually also helpful. So if you're looking to sign up, it's only $5 a month, and you can create lots and lots more stuff. So I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good day.